Hey, it's Juck. The Buckeyes played the spring game today, and we're going to go through it all.
And I don't think he's going to throw the ball as much as he thinks he's going to throw the ball now that Chip Kelly's on board. And I'm happy about that. More quarterback.
The truth is, Ryan Day has made a change philosophically, but it's none of those.
You all know who wins. LSU is the drunkest fan base in the country.
And welcome in. Thanks so much for joining me. I did a little live stream after the game where I kind of, got out some initial thoughts, but I kind of went back through my notes, looked at some things in a little greater detail, not because it's necessary, just because I was bored, and it was nice seeing the guys out there on the field. So I got some more notes, and that live stream was just terrible, guys. I hope I don't ever have to do that again. That format is, I don't know why I'm just terrified of it. I could barely breathe. But thank you to those of you who joined me. I quickly wiped that thing off the face of the earth. You cannot find that anymore, I don't think. I don't know. Tell me if you can, so I can go about it a different way. But we had a pretty eventful spring game, and we had a pretty eventful spring all in all. I think one of the things we're going to hear, and we've already heard it 100 times, is Justin Fields was horrible in the spring game. Bam Childress was a superstar in the spring game. We can't draw any conclusions from the spring game. And that's true to a certain extent, but I think we can draw some conclusions on the spring session. I mean, the spring game is number 15. So now it's over, and I think we know some more things about this team for sure. We definitely had some comments of note by Chip Kelly after the game and Ryan Day after the game. Chip Kelly said they're still looking for that fifth guy on the offensive line. Ryan Day somewhat changed his tune last week from the start of spring, where at the beginning of spring he had said that he felt the line was championship quality, and now he's saying he's going to look at all options. Today, our buddy Dylan Davis asked him after the game if he's settled on the right side, and he said, no, I don't think I'm there yet. So I think that they're going to be looking in the portal very hard for that fifth guy, where originally I thought they were going to be kind of glancing in the portal. Now I think it's more of that they're after another lineman in the portal. Chip also made mention of you can't just have 5, now you need 10. And from what it seems like to me, they're not quite too close to 10. So they're never going to be at 10, but I just got a feeling that it was really strange though, because it felt like up until last week, they went into spring, we didn't quite know what was going to happen. And then for a long time, Luke Montgomery was the guy at right guard. We were hearing nonstop. It's Luke. It's going to be Luke. Luke's looking great. And then last week, something changed. And today, it was Tegra and Carson in there before Luke ever even got in there. And it was really confusing to me. So, seeing Carson and Tegra in there was nice. I mean, I thought they both played pretty good, but it just kind of shows to me a little bit of confusion there. The uncertainty, we'll call it that. They're uncertain still. And I think that they're going to try to get some certainty out of that portal. But getting linemen in the portal is almost as tough as getting them in recruiting. There just aren't that many of them, particularly ones you can plug and play. So I do think they're going to be on hardcore portal watch for linemen, but I just don't know that they're going to find what they're looking for. Either way, I thought the unit played very good as a whole. Donovan played good. I thought that Simmons played good. He got beat on one play. Fryer was all right. Seth McLaughlin played really good. He had a couple plays where he pulled out. They looked really good. He was really sharp. I really like him a lot. But the best news for this offensive line is undoubtedly Chip Kelly and Chip Kelly's scheme. Chip is awesome, man. We could see the difference in the run blocking for sure. So all in all, I think, there's some pluses and minuses with that offensive line. Chip definitely showed us that he is that dude. I mean, he can really scheme it up, and the run blocking was very nice. As far as right guard, I don't know. We'll see where they go here, but the portal opens Monday, and it's going to be a lively next week for sure. Almost everything kind of played out the way I thought it was going to play out and the way you guys probably thought it was going to play out. It seems almost every position group and every player, for better or worse, is who we thought they were, and just kind of confirmed that to me. But the biggest surprise for me, if I was to say one player who really surprised me, who played great, was Mitchell Melton. Mitchell Melton made 2 outstanding plays, and then he made another one that really stood out to me as well. And I was really surprised with that. Not that I didn't think he could play. I just wasn't ready for him to make some impact plays like that. He's got a motor. He's fast. He's huge. Mitchell Melton is really going to add to that depth. They had talked about that second wave of defenders on the line with Caden Curry and Kenyatta and Mitchell Melton, but he seemed like kind of the third wheel of that. But I don't think that's going to be the case, and that is fantastic because he looked great. The broadcast from Fox, it really irritated me. Like, there's nothing that irritates me more when I'm watching a game and there is either a split screen or an interview or coming back from commercial and I miss part of the play. And there were so many split screens where we're watching the guy being interviewed and watching half the screen is the play. Like, can't we just listen to him being interviewed and watch the play? I don't understand. Urban had some funny lines in the booth. That was good. It was fun watching Ryan Day on the field. It was fun watching him yell at Lincoln. That was pretty fun. Urban talking about the uniform story with Gene Smith when Nike first introduced the black uniforms. And Urban said, I like tradition, but I like recruiting more, which is just so on brand. So that was pretty fun. All in all, it was cool, but I don't like missing plays. But when we talk about recruiting in those black jerseys, those kids, man, I'm telling you, the photo shoots, everyone we see of a new recruit or someone who comes and visits, none of them are in the traditional jerseys. They're wearing the red pants. They're wearing the grays now. They're wearing the blacks. They're never just in the basic uniform. So it works. That's what they like. The quarterbacks. So I thought the quarterbacks looked pretty solid overall. Joel Klatt confirmed what I think all of us could see, how great the coverage was all day. The secondary is just insane, and we'll get to them. But we saw a lot of short throws for everyone. But, the biggest question here is Will or Devin. I came into this spring thinking that the coaching staff wanted Will to be the guy, and it was probably going to be Will. And I thought that all the way along until, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago. And then I started thinking, man, maybe Devin's got this. We know what Will is at this point, right? He's not that accurate downfield. I don't think he's going to change that at this point in his career. He works well in the pocket. He extends plays with his legs. He can run. He can run powerfully down by the goal line. So we kind of know what he is, and that's exactly what he showed us. My opinion on Devin, it's always been he's a good athlete. He's not some running quarterback. He doesn't extend plays very well. He escapes the pocket pretty quick. He's got a really strong arm, and he's pretty good downfield. But the shorter touch kind of throws he's never been good at. And he also has come up to me as very kind of jumpy or frantic, whatever that means. I don't know. Just some kind of uneasiness. But today, he looked like he settled in. I didn't notice that jumpiness or frantic stuff. So these guys both had 2 series. But it is of note that Will started. That's of note first, whatever that means. I don't know. But Will started, and Will had 2 series with the ones. Devin only had 1 series with the ones, and his second series was with the Brennan Shrams and Adolph. What's that kid's last name? David Adolph's. So Will got the benefit of 2 series with the ones. Devin did not. Devin was 5 of 7 for 66 yards and a touchdown. Devin's first 2 dropbacks, he ended up running. The first one was because of Mitchell Melton beating Josh Simmons. And the second one, he escaped the pocket, in my opinion, way too early. Then he had a nice looking quick out to Carnell, another nice short one to Mecca. Then again, he escaped the pocket, in my opinion, way too early again. So 2 times he fled the pocket too early. Again, just my opinion. But it is something that I've kind of thought about him, and most people have as well. And 2 of them really quick, right on his first possession. He's fleeing the pocket too early. The second series, Devin completed a nice one to David Adolph, and then his touchdown pass to Brennan Schramm, who is a nice walk-on out of Medina right by me. Really good wide receiver, but he's a walk-on, and Devin was playing with them. Will was playing with the ones. I don't know if you can really call that even Steven. On the whole, Will had almost twice as many plays because he was getting first downs. But, you know, he did got a lot more opportunities. I thought Devin looked in command of the offense. He looked confident back there. And again, I didn't see the jumpiness. Something looked smooth. He kind of looked to me like he was finally settling in. It's the first I'd really seen of him that just looked smooth. And it looked pretty good, man. I'm telling you, I was pretty impressed. I really was. And I'm a Devin Brown fan, but I've never been a fan of his I've never really felt like he was the guy. But today I could see it, man. I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm kind of digging Devin. And Will, he was 9 of 13 for 77 yards. All his short stuff looked pretty good. He stayed in the pocket really well. He did extend the pocket some. He's very good at that. That is a strength of his. That's for sure. We didn't get to see him throw downfield a ton, but the ones that he did were all, off the mark. And that's no surprise. That's what we've heard all spring. Doesn't mean he can't win us games. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I really believe this guy can help us win games. The question is, when we're playing a tough team and it's late in the game and we have to depend on the quarterback to win the game, there's times that happens. How confident are you in Will Howard to do that? I don't know that we have a choice, because I think that these guys want Will Howard to be the starter, and I think that's the way this is going. So Ryan Day said he was going to have a talk with these guys and kind of tell them where they stood. This is a question that keeps coming up to Ryan Day, and it came up to Chip Kelly too today. And that question is, are you going to let these guys know who's going to start with respect to the transfer portal? And I got to tell you, I don't really dig this question, this whole line of questioning, or this line of thought that somehow the head coach should change the way he does things or accelerate the process in naming the starting quarterback to make it easier for someone to transfer or to plan for transferring. I just don't know when this became some kind of obligation for the coach. Like, transferring, well, it's not something we need to frown upon anymore, but is it something we should, I don't know, promote? It almost feels like they're promoting, like, here you go, guys. So one of you can get ready to transfer. I'm going to tell you who's going to start so the other one can leave. I don't know when that became the expectation, but I just don't like it. I don't like it being the norm. And I really don't. I mean, the whole thing just feels really weird to me. It's the first time I've ever seen this kind of line of questioning with a coach and two players that are in a position battle. Like, are you going to let them know early so that they can make sure they can hop in the portal if it's not them? It just doesn't feel, it just feels slimy to me. I don't like it. But hey, I could be in the minority there. Lincoln was 10 of 17 for 71 yards and 2 picks. I didn't really think either pick was really his fault. Coach Day really got on him hard. It was pretty funny. The one pick that Calvin Simpson-Hunt caught, it was looked like a miscommunication. And the second one, I think the tight end fell down. Julian's saying he had 5 or 6 series. He was 10 of 17 for 85 yards and a pick. His first series looked pretty bad. Poor pocket awareness. He kind of drifted back right into a sack. He did have a nice run and a nice little escape also on that series. The second series, he went bad throw, bad pick, 3 successive balls. The third, he had a miscommunication with Jaden Ballard. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put that on Ballard, and I don't even know what happened, but we're just going to say it was Ballard. It's got to be Ballard. Then an incompletion to JJ. So not a hot start in those first 3 possessions, but then the fourth was really nice. He had 4 completions in that fourth possession, and 2 were to Will Kazmarek. Now, the one to Will Kazmarek was, I don't know, maybe a 5-yard ball, but it was so smooth. He dropped his arm in this little side slot, and it came out of his hand so fast, it looked like C.J. Stroud. It was gorgeous, and when I saw it, I went, there he is. The dude is going to be awesome. He's going to be awesome. There's no doubt he struggled today. And when you look, his first 3 possessions, very bad, and then he kind of started settling in. But what I'm most happy is that they kept putting him out there. Because if we had only seen those first 3 where he played quite bad, that might have really hurt him mentally. Though I doubt it, because he seems like the type of dude that's unfazed by that kind of stuff. He knows what he can do. And it was nice to be able to see him kind of rebound a little bit, though nobody really balled out. So Aaron Noland actually looked pretty good for someone who's not been getting reps with, much reps with everybody else. I thought he looked real well. And I think he's, considerably behind Julian Sayin, but he didn't look too far behind him today on the field. So maybe a confidence builder for him. And some are speculating he may transfer here. So if he doesn't end up transferring, maybe that could have, be something that contributes to him sticking around, which I would love to see. I think he's a really good young dude. I think he's a very promising young prospect, but he's definitely got a ways to go. That's for sure. So the wide receivers, JJ did what he could. He really tried. He really wanted it, and they wanted to get it to him. That was clear. He was even in quite a bit later than I thought he would be. He looked amazing out there in his uniform. Carnell looked very sharp. He is a smooth dude. He looks like, we're not talking much about him. He's almost like kind of the forgotten guy here. But I think Carnell is going to have a really good season, very quietly. But he is smooth. He really is. But Emeka, we had so many people wanting Emeka to leave last year, and I just couldn't believe those folks. And I hope today it just reminded them how amazing this guy is. Emeka is not only a great leader, that insane catch he had, but it seems pretty clear to me that Chip is trying to use him like a Swiss Army knife this year. He is very fast. He's thick. He's sturdy. He can hold up. And I think he's going to be involved in the offense in a lot of ways that we weren't anticipating, and I am here for it. Dude's underrated somehow. I don't know how. He's shown in his career that he's an excellent receiver, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the ways Chip has to use him. Trey, I thought, is just, excellent as always. He's an absolute blur. He looks totally healthy. His body looks great. Quinshon had a couple of really nice runs. I can't wait to see him in real action where he gets to hit. He's got the juice, man. You can just see the difference. Bonsu, he tried to juke out Bonsu, and Bonsu played it really good. And I was pretty impressed by his reaction to Quinn, but he didn't have to bring him to the ground. If he would have, I think Quinshon would have put him under. But it was fun watching him out there in a Buckeyes uniform after seeing him in Ole Miss. James Peoples is the truth. It's hard to judge backs in the spring for me. They're not really hitting. Even when they're tapping, they're pulling up like 2 yards as they're coming in. So it just watching him move, watching where where he's going, his vision. And Chip had something to say about him too. Chip said he stood out early in the spring, and then he has really good feel and vision. But he's a dude. He's a straight up dude, and he's going to play this year. And I think he's going to play really well. The dude's awesome. TC Caffey had a touchdown. I loved that. You could hear him. He was so fired up about it. The whole team loves TC. TC's not a walk-on in my book. Absolutely not. And Sam Williams-Dixon had a productive day. I know a lot of people really like Sam. I'm on the fence about him. But I do think that probably bringing in another one, if they can find one in the portal that is a junior, would be excellent. And not just for this year, but to have somebody a little older in next year's room, because you're looking at next year with TC Caffey as the veteran, and then everybody else in that room is going to be 1 and 2 years removed from high school. So if they could get a junior this year to add on for a little depth and have him, for next year as well, with 1 year in the system, I think it would be pretty beneficial. So the backs played pretty good all in all, but the backs, running backs and linebackers in this format, you don't really get to tell a whole lot. Tight ends, so-so. The blocking as a unit was pretty good. I thought Will Kazmarek looked pretty good. You definitely could see the athleticism in him. He is a big old bruiser. He had a couple catches. Jelani Thurman had a nice catch. He said after the game that he is looking to bring some versatility to the offense this year, and he was using this spring to show that he's ready to take on a larger workload. He wasn't quite ready to do that last year, including in the Cotton Bowl. They wanted to play him more in the Cotton Bowl. We didn't see that much. Thurman said he knows that's because the other guys were ready to do the job ahead of him, but he's looking to close that gap. Now, the D-line. This unit is so good. Bill Landis asked Chip Kelly today, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, Chip, you told us when you first got here that the basis of your running game is figuring out what your guys do best and then designing the running game for them. After 15 practices, do you feel you have a good feel for that? And Chip said, unfortunately, it's been very difficult because the defensive front is so good. So they're so good that Chip has not been able to totally feel out what his guys can do. And that's not great for Chip, but it's a real pat on the back for that defensive line. And they are just so bad. Jack was great today in the limited time he played. Mitchell Melton, as I said, was excellent. Edric Houston killed Zen Mikulski. Hero Canoe absolutely bodied Luke Montgomery. Jason Moore had a few plays. He looked excellent. That play with Jack and JT on the same side, where either one of them could have gotten the sack, but Jack got it. That was fun. That was really fun. Jack just blew through Carson, and JT embarrassed Fryer, which is also not great. You know, you got this whole thing where it's like, yeah, he played great, but he got murdered. So it's not awesome. But I love watching those two, man. I really love those two. I'm so happy they're back for their senior year. And Jack Sawyer is my next candidate for a jersey on the wall. I think that if he plays good, I'm putting him up there. Hometown boy, loves the Buckeyes. Is he going to get the 0? I think he might get the 0. And if he does, I think definitely Jack is going on the wall in the Juck studio here. But the defensive line's fantastic. Caden McDonald plugged a few holes really nicely. He did his job. He looked good. The linebackers, CJ Hicks looked like he was where he was supposed to be. Again, I have a hard time judging linebackers in this format, but he did have a couple tackles, which are just kind of taps, one in the backfield. And he looked like he was always where he was supposed to be to me. Sonny Styles, I didn't notice too much, to be honest. But I think that CJ is really so far holding on to that number 1 spot there. The secondary is the MVP. The secondary is the MVP of the game, and they're the best secondary in the country. They're insane. They're insane. I've never been a huge fan of secondary play. I just find it's kind of boring until we had some really bad secondaries, and now I'm a huge fan of secondaries. If you can pick what unit on your team you want to be the best unit, I think I would pick offensive line first. Like if I could say, all right, pick any unit and that'll be your best unit. Give me offensive line number 1. Number 2 would be secondary. That'd be my second pick this day and age, this era of college football. And our secondary, I think, is the best unit on this team. So I'm happy with that. My second pick is the best. I'm good with that. I wish offensive line were right behind them. I think they're a little further down the list. But the secondary is awesome. Jim Knowles is awesome. Tim Walton's awesome. Matt Guerreri's awesome. And that's a hire that kind of flew under the radar as he went and bagged Cody Haddad today out of St. Ignatius, who is an excellent safety. But we'll talk about him and Nate Roberts at the end of the breakdown here. Knowles said, I think that it's become an expectation now. The pass defense was 96th in the country when I got here last year. And last year it was the best. And we view that as the standard now. 96 to number 1. Jim Knowles is an absolute whiz. And I hope this dude sticks around forever. I absolutely love him. What a wonderful thing, man. What a wonderful thing. So Cody Haddad, St. Ignatius, joins Deshaun Stewart as the 2 safeties in the class. There was a lot of people who were kind of tentative on the fence about them taking Cody Haddad. They didn't want him. They thought that maybe Trey McNutt or Fahim Delane might be turned off by that. Now that would be 2 safeties already in the class. I don't think he's a guy you could pass on, to be honest. I think he's excellent. I think he's very underrated. He only played in 4 games last year. And the 4 games that he played in, the tape is awesome. He's first off, he loves football. He's fast. He hits like a truck. I think he's a guy, I don't think he is, this is an Ohio kid that's good enough. Let's give him an offer. we have some of those from time to time. I don't think he is that at all. I think he's a real deal. I think they'd have gone after him if he was in New Jersey with Deshaun Stewart. The dude is a diamond, I think, for sure. And I do believe that the rankings will catch up to him. Like I said, he only played 4 games last year. We're talking about a guy with a dad who played a cup of coffee in the NFL and a grandfather on his mother's side who played in the NFL. So both sides, he's over 6 foot, another tall one. The length on these dudes is unbelievable. There's a picture that came out today of Tim Walton with Naeem Offord, Devin Sanchez, and Blake Woodby, the 3 corners committed in the class. And you got Tim Walton and Blake Woodby, who look like normal corners. And then you got Devin Sanchez and Naeem Offord. They're so tall. And now they got Haddad and Deshaun Stewart, both 6 foot dudes. There's giants back there. Absolutely. These secondaries just don't look like they used to, man. Even like 10 years ago. They're going to have a secondary with all 6 foot plus dudes. Except for Blake Woodby, who's just a normal, awesome cornerback, like 5'9", 5'10". Just giants back there. But, we talk about McGarry and Tim Walton just killing it. And McGarry is, I think, a really underrated hire. This guy, Jim Knowles' right-hand guy, he is not only a great coach, I think he's probably got defensive coordinator in his future somewhere big, because he's going to be a stud at some point. But when Deshaun Stewart was on the show and he was talking about McGarry meeting him and then recruiting him, he said, I'm going to contact you. You're going to know me better than any coach in the country. Deshaun Stewart said, and he did. He did what he said. We talked about everything. I think that bodes really well, because Deshaun Stewart, while a great player, is not the top recruit on their board. But Guerrero said he was going to do it, and he did it. I think that says a lot about him, and I'm really excited about him. Tim Walton, of course, is the beast. There was a clip of him. He writes down, I don't know if it's a rap or a poem or something. I've seen him do it quite a few times, but he does it for the guys, his cornerbacks. And they gather around him, and they just go nuts when he's doing it. They just love this dude. And what a great dude. He's a great dude. He's a Buckeye, an amazing recruiter. And this secondary is the best in the country, as is this defense. It is so full of NFL players and mature players. It feels great. And it makes the concern at quarterback feel like, I don't want to say not very consequential. It certainly is, but it makes it less necessary for us to have some excellent quarterback. There have been a lot of teams that have won it all with game manager quarterbacks. And if any team can, I think that this team can. But that offensive line is going to be the crucial spot for me. It's going to be the offensive line. As for the quarterbacks, I would hate to see anybody transfer, but it's looking to me like Devin Brown's probably going to transfer. I just got a bad feeling now. It seems to me like Ryan Day wanted it to be Will all along. The fact that Devin Brown didn't even get too serious today with the ones, maybe I'm reading into that too much, but it's just all starting to feel like it's gone bad for Devin Brown. You guys are so good to me, and as a token of my appreciation, I not only have got you the promo code JUCK to use at MyBookie to get a 50% deposit bonus, but I've gone ahead and went and decided to get you a winner as well. So 7.5 is the win total for the Iowa Hawkeyes this year. That means they can lose 4 games and you still cash. Now, keep in mind when I read you their schedule here that they have 9 returning starters on offense and 9 returning starters on defense. You ready? They can lose 4 of these games. Illinois State, Iowa State, Troy, Minnesota, Ohio State, Washington, Michigan State, Northwestern, Wisconsin, UCLA, Maryland, Nebraska. Their 4 toughest games: Maryland, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and Ohio State, and they can lose all 4. That's a winner. MyBookie, promo code JUCK, 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Go get them. A couple other news and notes. What did you guys think of the new coach's attire? The black with the white Buckeye leaf and the white swoosh. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I loved it so much. I tried to find it. I can't. Now, sometimes when the coaches get that official gear, you can't buy it for a little while. Um, and I think this may be the case because I looked everywhere for this. I cannot find it. If anybody can find that, let me know. Juckonbucks at Gmail. Send it to me. I'll buy you one too. I want it bad. But those are sweet. We also learned from Jack Sawyer that Jim Knowles is one of those folks that wears their shoes where they step on the heel and they don't fix the heel. They just walk with their heel down like my kids used to when they were 7 and 8. And I can picture Jim Knowles doing that. He's so into his defense that he doesn't even care to bend over and fix his heel. That would drive me nuts. Nate Roberts, the number 1 tight end on the board. Keenan Bailey went all in on this dude. And it was risky. His brother was at Oklahoma. He's from Oklahoma. He's got some family in Ohio, but I don't know. I think it's like an aunt or an uncle. And he's a 17-year-old dude. So I don't know. That doesn't seem like a really strong, make you feel better familial connection. So a risky all-in move to get his number 1 tight end onto the board, who has kind of dropped in the rankings recently. I'm not quite sure why. Doesn't really matter to me. I always want them to get their first pick, and he's been their number 1 on the board for a very long time, and they nailed him. And this kid seems like he's all Buckeye. I don't think there's any worry about him flipping. So that's excellent. Love to see him get another one. That Ben Schott out of Indiana. Is it Ben Schott? Schott. Schott. Real dynamic athlete, about 6'3", not big and husky like Roberts, but more like a receiving tight end. Really dynamic athlete, really fun to watch. So I think they're still going to be in the mix for another one. And but Nate Roberts is a great start. And the class now with Cody Haddad and Nate Roberts is number 1 in the rankings, overtaking Notre Dame, who was number 1 only because they had like 18 commits. Their recruit average, their per player average was like 5 points lower than Ohio State. So it was only a matter of time before the Buckeyes took that over, and LSU is going to be the one who's right nipping at the heels here with a per player average that's real close to the Buckeyes. USC was up there, but they have kind of died off recently as they signed, and they got like 6 3-stars in their class now, and they're kind of backing up, but they had some interesting stuff go down last week. So we know they went on. We covered their recruiting tear that they went on. So Lincoln Riley came out and he announced that their NIL was doing great. And that very week when he said that, they went out and signed all the Justice Terry and another defensive lineman, 2 of the top 4 players out of Georgia. And then they got, of course, they already had Julian Lewis out of Georgia as a commit in their class. Then they got another awesome DB out of Florida. They went down to Texas and got that Gus Cordova kid. And they looked like they had things really rolling. And then Barry Alexander, their starting defensive tackle, comes out and says that he didn't come out. It leaked that he was going to enter the transfer portal. So 22 hours later, Barry Alexander tweeted, "I don't know what all this transfer portal stuff is. I'm not crystal clear about this, but I'm here to win a national championship with USC." So Barry Alexander is interesting. This kid is from Texas, and he went to 5 different high schools, the last one being IMG. So you may have called this kid an NIL high school kid. I don't know. I don't know why any kid would go to 5 different high schools. But from there, he went to Georgia out of high school, played a year at Georgia. Then he went to USC. And he was about to leave USC until it appears Lincoln and the Trojans ponied up some money. So there are now maybe 3 players in an article that I just read the other day whose parents are saying that USC promised them money. They're not giving them money. They made handshake deals. They put them up in real estate. They put them in apartments, and they're getting bills now where they weren't before. They're getting late bills. And then they had Jason Alameda, their number 1 recruit from last cycle, who is an offensive lineman, say he was going to enter the transfer portal. And Lincoln Riley was talking at the end of practice the other day, and Lincoln said About Bear, yeah, Bear's fine. I don't know anything about that. But about Jason Alameda, he said he wasn't in our plans anyway, and I'm not going to beg anybody to stay at USC. So it seems to me like what might be going on here is the players saw USC going on this big recruiting tear, spending all this money all of a sudden, and asked for some more money. Now, the ones like Bear Alexander who are in their plans immediately that they really want, they're ponying up. The guys who aren't, they aren't. So this is the world we live in with NIL. And guys like Dan Wetzel, a reporter I've always really liked, who have been going on and on for a long time now with NIL, saying that we don't need guardrails. The market will figure this out. You know, we have guardrails in place. I'm a free market guy too. But, you know, when you sign a mortgage, there's a million pieces of paper and checks to protect people who've never done it before from getting ripped off. And the same thing with something like a payday loan. You know, we protect people from getting ripped off. That's what guardrails are for in a lot of ways, is to protect the people. And in this case, it would be the parents or the students at USC who are making handshake deals with these NIL departments. And what happens when they go to the coach points to the NIL. They go to the NIL points to the coach. And they're just getting raked over the coals here. There needs to be a system in place, man. This is ridiculous. How many stories like this do we got to read? And it's not getting better. It's getting worse. It's just amazing. But Lincoln Riley's shady. I did not like the way he talked about that Jason Alameda or Amadea. And he, I don't think, I've had a couple people ask if the Buckeyes should grab him. He's not anybody who's going to help us this year, but sure, they want some depth. Yeah, absolutely. But no, he's not ready to go yet. But he was a top 100 interior offensive lineman, and definitely somebody, you know, who would, you can definitely put him on the roster. That's for sure, but not going to help us this year. But I just think this NIL stuff is just, you have to have guardrails, man. I don't know how much longer they can do this without any guardrails, because these stories are just insane. So that's that for that. The king of the transfer portal, Lane Kiffin, has come out and made a strong statement about the transfer portal. This is the guy with the #1 transfer portal class last time. Quote, "It's a really, really poor system. Here we go again. Guys are already announcing. They just got somewhere in January and they're leaving again just so they can get paid. You know, taking up spots, and it's not their fault. It's not the players' fault. It's the system that they created that they're utilizing. In the NFL, if you put 2 free agent windows a year and you could opt out every year, twice a year, guys would do it. You can't be mad at the players." It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny, but it's true. It's true. They can do unlimited transfers. They can hop in the first window, get an NIL deal. Obviously, they would want to try to structure that deal to get as much upfront cash money as they can, and then they could peel out of town and go somewhere else for another one. It's a ridiculous system. So that's all I got today, guys. Hey, great spring game. I had fun. I'll probably watch it again, or at least throw it on when I'm going to bed, because it's just nice to see the guys on the field. And next week I'll be in Scottsdale, but I will be filming and doing some shows from there, because it's just my wife and I, and she gets sick of me fast. So until then, I'll talk to you guys. Have a good one. Chuck and Bucks out.